Well, hello there. This is Katie Corbett from the Health, Wellness, and Chocolate podcast. And today I wanted to talk to you about some, tricks that your brain is going to play on you as you begin your wellness and health journey. And, all the traps that your brain's going to fall into. And it's not really your brain's fault. It's just your brain is going to brain. That's kind of what I like to say. But what your job is now, and hopefully you've learned this from listening to these podcasts or watching this if you watch it on YouTube, is that your brain is going to do what your brain is going to do. And it's your job to kind of learn about it. And then when your brain brains, then you're able to counteract it with being like, oh, that's just my brain doing the brain thing. And I don't have to believe this, or I recognize this. This is what my brain is telling me, but I know that's not true. And then you're able to overcome whatever hurdle comes up for you. So I wanted to talk about today some of these traps that happen inside your brain once you begin your wellness and health journey. And if you are new here, just so you know, this is right now, May 17th when I'm recording this, we are closing the doors to the Health and Wellness Blueprint on May 23rd, and we'll be meeting live every Monday for the next 12 weeks inside the Health and Wellness Blueprint, and it's going to be Lose Weight with Kate, and the link is in the notes here. So if you want to join us, you can get in, and as a bonus, I am offering a 60-minute one-on-one coaching call to the first 30 people who sign up. So if you want to get in on that bonus and you want to have a coaching call for free, go ahead and do that right now. And all the information is on the website. I would love to have you join us because it should be a great time, and it's really a fantastic time of year to go ahead and get, especially now that all the restrictions are being lifted, and I think life is just maybe coming back. And if you've been putting it off because of uncertainty, now's the time. Let's do this, and we can do it together. So I look forward to seeing you inside the Health and Wellness Blueprint. In the meantime, I want to continue talking about some of these habits that your brain has and how you can recognize them and then combat them. So first of all, your brain has what's called contagious mindsets, which is fascinating, okay? And basically, I don't know, you've probably heard the old adage, you are the average of the top 5 people that you hang out with, right? Which means I'm pretty much a toddler. But, the 5 people that you are closest to, you basically average out with them. And so what scientists have discovered is that is true, but it goes a little bit further than that. So if, say, you battle and struggle with your weight, chances are that you probably have obese friends and family members. And so even if you maybe are at maybe a normal weight, and you have a lot of acquaintances or a lot of friends that are overweight and obese, you will actually begin to take on some of those habits. And then you become actually at a greater risk of becoming obese yourself. And that is scientifically backed up. So it's kind of like if you remember in high school, if you hung out with smokers, chances are, even if you weren't a smoker when you started, you probably took up the habit of smoking. If you're maybe they found like the more a student believes that other people are cheating on a test, that student is more prone to start cheating as well. If people think like, oh, it's the normal thing to do, like cheat on your taxes, then they'll go cheat on their taxes, right? It's almost like that social proof, but it's in a negative way, where it's like, oh, I don't have to stick to my diet all the time because look, all my friends are overeating. So just this once I'll do it. Right. So you want to be careful what your brain is telling you, especially when it comes to if you have health goals but the people that you are spending time with don't, that you don't just put your health and wellness goals to the side for the sake of the people around you. And that is sometimes hard to do, especially, sometimes I hear, well, no one really supports me in my house. I try to lose weight or create healthy habits and there's no one there to, everybody's sabotaging me. But really, you need to just have your own back and not rely on other people to have you hit your goals. Like you set the goal and you make it possible for yourself, regardless of what everybody else is doing around you. And that builds such self-efficacy and such self-confidence that you will get better at that. And that muscle of self-efficacy will grow, and you'll see it ripple into other areas of your life. So don't wait for someone to come alongside you and say, hey, let's do this together. If you want a partner, seek it out yourself and make that happen, make that connection. And that's actually why I have Health, Wellness, and Chocolate. If you don't have anybody that has your own back, I have your back. Come join me inside the Health and Wellness Blueprint. That's why I created it. I'm here for you. And even if you don't have a lot of belief in yourself that you can hit the goals that you want to hit, I know you can. And actually, I'm going to talk about that, how that plays out psychologically too inside this podcast. Okay. So the more time people spend with people who feel lonely, the more likely they are to feel lonely. So you're going to adopt the mindset and the habits of the people that you spend time with. So pay attention to like things that you're consuming that actually aren't food related, right? What are you exposing your brain to? What are your to look at your top 5 relationships. Are they helping you or are they hindering in your weight loss efforts? And what you want to do is, if they are hindering you, be deliberate and look for relationships that will support you and not hinder you. So if you do find you're being hindered, get inside the Health and Wellness Blueprint right away. Okay, so when you see people that are not living in an excellent way, it basically like loosens us up, okay? And we say, oh, we're not so bad, but you have lowered your standards. So it's so easy, sometimes if you feel down about yourself, to look around and you might compare yourself to other people like, oh, I'm not that bad. At least I didn't do this, and this, what that person was doing, right? And we kind of like moralize our negative behavior by comparing ourselves to someone who's worse than us, right? We're so good at that. Like we are so good at taking something that is negative about us and being like, well, at least I'm not like that person, and they do all these other bad things, okay? Because it loosens us morally. So what you always want to do is look to people that are inspiring, and that are living in an excellent way, and that are ahead of you and in hitting the goals that you hit. Because you will, and science has kind of backed this idea up, you will, go backwards a bit if you are only looking around at people around you not hitting the goals that you set for yourself. Because you can moralize it and say, well, at least I walked for a few minutes. That person didn't do anything. They just sat on a couch all day, and then you say like, okay, well, then you feel so much better about yourself. Whereas if you actually go and look for a mentor who's killing it with hitting their goals, that will inspire you to go ahead and hit the goals that you want to hit. So surrounding yourself, so like the converse of that idea then is true. Like if you're surrounding yourselves with morally loose people, your standards will go down. Okay. But, they have also said that when you surround yourselves with excellent people, that have gone ahead of you and that have hit goals that you want to achieve, that's actually exactly who the type of people, that you want to be hanging out with. And, that is so important to do. So for example, if you want to improve your health and lose weight, it's awesome that you listen to this podcast. That's really good. Good for you for doing that, because you're putting me in your life, to encourage you to hopefully spur you on to excellence, to let you see, what's possible. Like, yes, this is not impossible. I have 8 kids. I was a size 22. I'm now a size 10. I didn't starve myself. It's totally realistic. It is totally doable. You don't have to, kill yourself to improve your health, right? Like you can do it in a realistic, humane way without all these crazy pills or diet plans or anything too drastic, right? So you and I, we have a relationship, and hopefully you find it encouraging. Hopefully it spurs you towards excellence so you could see what's possible. I get up typically around 5:30 in the morning. Even though I do have 8 kids and some are small. I'm not nursing anymore, but I do get up early, and like I said, I think it was even in the last podcast, right? I usually read in the morning, and then I do a workout, and then I'll have breakfast, and then I start our school day with the kids, and then I plug work in a couple hours here and there throughout the day, and then go back downstairs and do school. And then at 4 o'clock, outside. We are outside. If not before 4, definitely by 4. We're outside. I have a podcast on. I'm walking. The kids are playing. Everybody's having a nice time, a nice afternoon. But that's what works for me. But like, I can give you that as part of our relationship for you to say, okay, what's possible here? What can I do? How can I take the essence of what she does and see how I can do something similar to help me in my health and wellness journey? Okay. So, hopefully you find that encouraging and gives you ideas, just like I find mentors that give me ideas, be it a business mentor, be it, a physical fitness mentor or a health coach or a wellness coach, right? Like you always find someone who's a bit ahead of you so that you can keep moving forward and understanding like, okay, this is possible. And then and here's a really good example. If you tell people like, hey, I'm going to go get healthier or lose weight, right? And if they've never done it before or they feel like that is too hard, that's just an impossible goal, they're not really going to be very encouraging. They're not going to think it's possible for you. They might even try to discourage you or maybe even sabotage you. But say you tell someone who recently lost a lot of weight, your health and wellness goals, right? But they've already hit the goals that you've set out for yourself. Their reaction is going to be like, oh, yeah, you can totally do that. That is so doable. Yeah, you've got this. Like that. I totally know you can handle that. And I think it's funny because it's almost like, there's a family member, it's kind of distant family member, but his mindset is so small that he doesn't think things are possible at all. Right. And little things that are not really a big deal, but that we've been able to accomplish. Like he just did not think that they were possible. So I almost think it's like, if you can imagine like saying, I'm going to go try to make $1 million. Now, if you tell that to someone who is a multimillionaire, they'll be like, oh, good for you. I can't wait to hear about how you do it. But if you tell someone who has never made that much money, who maybe is terrible with money, or they live like paycheck to paycheck and they have a real scarcity mindset, the idea of you making $1 million to them is absolutely impossible. And there's no way they can even fathom that. They're like, you'll never be able to do it. Don't even try. That's just, $1 million. People really, they just inherit money. They never actually make $1 million. That's only for rich people. You shouldn't even bother. That's just, it's all a conspiracy against you, like that's it, so they because their mind has never done it. They cannot comprehend the ability to actually do it, right? They have zero belief that it can be done because they themselves have never created that result. Where if you tell someone that has actually created that result in their life, to them, it's like, yeah, sure. I totally believe you could do it. Can't wait to hear how you do it. Totally done, right? So be careful about who you surround yourself with and who you share your hopes and dreams with, because if they're not of the same mindset, or if that particular goal seems impossible for them through their lens, they might discourage you, even unintentionally. They might just be like, that's not a possible goal. Like that's really, I don't know how you're even going to do that, right? Where you're like, what? Wait, I have evidence of other people in my life doing this. And then those are the people then that you really want to focus on and get mentored from, not from the people that haven't been able to hit the goals. It's almost like, I forget where I've heard this. It might have even been Dave Ramsey. He just says like, don't take advice from broke people. Don't get financial advice from people who are broke, because they're not going to be able to give you accurate financial advice. Like you might want to take financial advice, like say from Dave Ramsey, because he was bankrupt and then has made a multi-million dollar industry teaching people how to, budget and how to say, right. So like from him, it is great to take financial advice from. But if you're going to take financial advice from someone who is still bankrupt and still struggling with money, what they're going to say is probably not going to be very good. So be careful who you tell, and be careful who you take advice from, especially when it comes to dreams or goals that you have set for yourself. Be sure that it's someone who believes in you and that maybe has actually even done it before, so that even if you maybe lack some self-belief, they can hold the space for you and be like, no, I know you can do it because I see it done all the time. Like that is, it's no big deal. Okay. So continue doing that. Let's see. I made my notes, so I'm just looking. I always make notes for you guys. So my brain, I don't know if like as a mom, if you find like you walk into a room and you have no idea why you're there. Well, it happens sometimes too to me. So I always try to take notes. So I'm just not like, what was I going to say? What are we talking about? What? Okay. So the next point. Beware of moral licensing. Now, moral licensing is where so for our purposes, I would say like a moral license is when you work out and you have a really good workout and then you say, oh, I worked out today. I think I'm going to have dessert. Okay, that would be moral licensing. It's like when you do something that you see as virtuous, giving yourself permission to do something that is like negative or sabotaging yourself in the back end. Okay, now your brain is going to totally justify this and be like, no, you can totally do this because you earned it, right? And I know I used to do this when the kids would all go to bed and I was nursing because I was always so much hungrier when I was nursing. And so the kids would go to bed and that would be my time. Like, this is my time. I deserve this. I managed to keep, 7 human beings alive all day long, all by myself. And now I'm going to have my tea and I'm going to have some chocolate or I'm going to have some cookies or something sweet. And I deserve it, right? So that was my moral licensing. Some people morally license, they're like, I deserve this wine or I deserve this, whatever, right? Usually if it's like, I deserve whatever, that's usually a red flag that is a moral license. Some people will do it like if they hit a weight loss goal, then they're like, oh, well, I finally fit in these pants so I can have that dessert. Or, even if it's unplanned, even if it goes against what their goals are, they're not considering the goals. They're only considering like the behavior that they just did. And then they're attaching like a moral reward to it. So you want to notice your brain doing that and knock it off right away. Okay, because it really is a sneaky form of self-sabotage. So for example, you go ahead and you're great all week and then the weekend hits and you're like, oh, I deserve to go out to dinner and have that wine or have that dessert. And maybe you didn't plan on it. It wasn't part of the goals that you set for yourself. You didn't plan it 24 hours ahead of time, but like you tell yourself, no, I deserve it. That's morally licensing. And a lot of times too, what we do is we'll justify a negative behavior, our own negative behavior, by then thinking back to all the good we've done, right? So for example, at night, like when the kids go to bed, I'll tell myself, oh, I deserve that dessert because I had such a stressful day being a mom. Like, think about all the good I've done. And then, I deserve to have that cup of tea. Or well, actually the cup of tea is no big deal, but it's like the cookies that go along with the cup of tea. And this is from Michael Matthews. He has a book, Thinner, Leaner, Stronger, which is pretty helpful and interesting. And this is from page 140. He says, just to illustrate how absurd moral licensing can get, can you figure out why, after adding healthier items to its menus, McDonald's began selling more Big Macs than ever? Okay, so according to research conducted by scientists at Baruch College, the mere opportunity to eat healthy gave people some of the satisfaction of actually eating healthy, and then that in turn permitted them to choose the cheeseburger. So just a suggestion like, oh, you can go ahead and have that salad, and you think about it, like you contemplate having it, your brain is like thinking like you did have it, and then justifying it by like going ahead and getting the more greasy thing because it thinks it did something great. Isn't that crazy? That's why you have to know these little tricks about your brain. Otherwise, it's like, I don't know, why do I keep doing this? It's like your brain is going to brain. And it's just so important to understand what it's doing so you can really kind of nip it in the bud or at least recognize it and be like, no, brain, that's not what we do. So, that's the craziness of moral licensing. Let's see. My next point. So basically, your thoughts and your justifications and the people that you surround yourself with are either going to move you closer to your goals or they're going to move you further away from them. All right. And so you really want to pay attention to all those things, right? So who you spend time with, what are your thoughts, and how are you using moral licensing and your justifications? And that's why I do talk about this too. It's like, don't moralize your healthy behavior, and stop thinking in those black and white terms of, okay, I'm good because I worked out. I'm good because I followed my meal plan. I'm bad, and now I'm going to just go eat everything in sight because I didn't follow my meal plan, right? When we have that dieter's mentality of either being good or bad, or, eating perfectly or eating everything in sight, that's like this moral licensing where we say, well, we've messed up. Let's just go ahead and go crazy and eat everything, right? You want to stop doing that and live in the gray. And I talk about that in the Health and Wellness Blueprint. And I give you tools to teach you how to go ahead and do that. But, what you want to do is like, every day, look at each day in the 24-hour period is like, I'm moving forward to hitting my goals. I'm moving forward to feeling comfortable in my own skin. I'm moving forward and starting to, like, I want to shop for cute clothes. I want my knees not to hurt anymore. I want, I want to be able to play on the beach with my kids. I want to keep up with my grandkids, right? Like, those are your goals. Not if you didn't follow your meal plan or not, right? Like, you want to kind of go beyond it and look beyond the immediate and start looking more long-term, so you can say, it doesn't matter if I had that cookie and I didn't write it down ahead of time. Like, oh, well, I had it, and now I'm going to move on. Sorry, I have a hair right in my face. Now I'm going to move on with my life. It doesn't mean anything about me. I'm just going to keep going forward, right? And so you want to do that. And the last thing I want to talk about, and we've talked about our future version of ourselves, but the last way your brain tricks you is, and we've talked about your future self and how you can create a relationship with a future version of you. What happens is, a lot of times people put a lot of, you're still going to be you, right? In the future with your thoughts and everything. But what happens is, a lot of people will assume their future self is going to be morally superior, better behaved, or better disciplined than they are right now. And so they'll say, oh, you know what? I'll eat dessert and have those cookies right now because I know next week I'm going to start really hitting it hard, right? But the thing is, like, you're telling the future self version, you're assuming the future version of yourself has the discipline and the self-control not to have dessert, right? But what have you just done? You have practiced not keeping your word to yourself, not sticking to your goals, not being disciplined in the present current moment. And that has only strengthened that muscle, right? So the future version of you has nothing to go on. The habits have not been created yet. So you're really kind of sabotaging the future version of yourself by not sticking to your goals and assuming the future version of yourself will be able to handle that without having done any of the work prior. And here, I wrote one more note, and I said, thinking that your future self will be way more disciplined so you can justify your actions now. But remember, you need to behave as if you are your future self right now, right? And we've talked about that before too. Like, don't dress for the job you have. You dress for the job you want. And the same thing with your future version of yourself. If you consider what you want your future version of you to look like and act like, we go way deep in this in the Health and Wellness Blueprint, but you consider the future version of yourself. You also need to act as if you are her already. So if the future version of you is at your goal weight and she's exercising all day, or not all day, I'm sorry, she's exercising every day and she's eating well and she's sticking to her 24 hours ahead of time plan, and she has these disciplines and these habits in place, she's not going to magically get them. You have to start laying that foundation now and start doing that every day, because eventually you turn into her and that future version, right? But she doesn't magically appear. You have to show up as if you are her right now and then start working towards her. That's why it's so important to start a relationship with her now, so you know where you're going. You know the path to get to her. But it does require the present version of you to be disciplined, to pay attention, to grow those muscles of strength and self-efficacy and self-confidence, so that when you get to that future version of you, you just step right into who you are. All right. So I hope you found that helpful. Like I said, the Health and Wellness Blueprint, the doors are open. There is a sale going on right now. It's $50 off the regular enrollment price. You can get in. We will be meeting for 12 weeks, and I have a lot of nice bonuses that are inside that blueprint for you if you join right now. I'm calling it Lose Weight with Kate, and we'll be starting Monday. So doors close Sunday night. I would love to see you in there. Just click on the link in either below the video or that came with the show notes in the podcast. I would love to see you in there. All right, you take care and have a great week. Bye-bye.